Good morning, I'm Kenneth Moten.
And I'm Janae Norman. Here are the top 5 things to notice Thursday. Number 1, the new bombshell in the impeachment investigation.
As the impeachment trial opens today, a Rudy Giuliani associate embroiled in the Ukraine scandal is revealing explosive new details about the effort to pressure Ukraine to announce an investigation to former Vice President Joe Biden. Lev Parnas told MSNBC it was never about corruption, it was strictly about Biden.
And he says President Trump knew exactly what was going on. We'll have much more on this coming up in just a moment.
Number 2, as the impeachment drama continues to unfold, President Trump is celebrating the first phase of a new trade deal with China.
It calls for China to buy an additional $200 billion of U.S. products. That includes planes, cars, oil, coal, and farm goods. China has also promised to take steps to protect U.S. intellectual property.
ABC's Jonathan Carl has more on how the deal affects the price we pay for Chinese goods.
Under the deal, there will be a reduction in some of the tariffs, and tariffs that the president had threatened to impose back in December will not go into effect. But overwhelmingly, most of the tariffs he put in place over the past year will remain in place, subject to negotiations that likely will not begin until after the presidential election.
Critics say the deal leaves many important economic issues unresolved and doesn't do enough to help U.S. factory workers.
On to number 3, an 11-year-old girl in Massachusetts is safe this morning after police say she was abducted by a stranger on her way home from school.
A cheer was heard from her family's home in Springfield when they found out she was safe. A surveillance camera captured her walking home from school a few days ago.
Police say a blue Honda in that video appears to be the same car that was used when she was taken yesterday. An Amber Alert was issued as police urgently tried to find that car.
Once we realized what we had, we knew that time was of the essence. This was not the kind of case that we could go home or we could hand over or we could say we'll continue this in the morning. This was a absolute life and death situation for this little girl.
A driver called 911 after spotting that blue Honda in traffic. The girl was inside. She wasn't hurt. A 24-year-old man is under arrest. Police say he is familiar to them.
Number 4, the New York Mets are the latest team drawn into baseball's cheating scandal.
Their new manager, Carlos Beltran, played for the Astros in 2017 and was named in the league's report on sign stealing. He recently denied any knowledge of the team using a camera to steal signs.
ESPN reports the Mets are now assessing the situation.
And finally, number 5, Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan Markle may be ready to step back from the royal family, but not everyone is happy about their plan to live part-time in Canada.
Canada's biggest newspaper has published a scathing editorial saying it would be unconstitutional for the royal couple to move there.
The Globe and Mail wrote, princes are not shipped over here when no useful duties can be found for them on the other side of the Atlantic. Canada is not a halfway house for anyone looking to get out of Britain while remaining a royal. The paper claims Harry and Meghan's plan to move would violate laws that keep Canada, which used to be ruled by Britain, separate from the monarchy. Good Thursday morning. Let's get right to that big story. The bombshell interview from a key player in the Ukraine scandal, speaking out as the Senate takes up the impeachment trial.
An indicted associate of Rudy Giuliani is speaking publicly for the first time, and he's pointing the finger at President Trump.
Lev Parnas told MSNBC the president knew exactly what was going on regarding the pressure campaign on Ukraine. He says it was never about corruption, but strictly about Joe Biden.
The allegations come just as history is made on Capitol Hill with the articles of impeachment delivered to the Senate. ABC's Megan Tefrizian joins us with the new details. Megan, good morning.
Good morning, Kenneth and Janae. That associate, Lev Parnas, makes a series of serious allegations that implicate Vice President Mike Pence, Attorney General William Barr, Republican Congressman Devin Nunes, and the president himself.
The formal articles of impeachment are now in the hands of the Senate after being hand-delivered by the 7 Democrats appointed to prosecute the case. President Trump maintaining it was all a hoax, even as new details emerge about his actions in Ukraine. In a new bombshell interview on MSNBC, an associate of President Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, says the president was in the loop when it came to pressuring Ukraine.
President Trump knew exactly what was going on. He was aware of all of my movements. I wouldn't do anything without the consent of Rudy Giuliani or the president.
In terms of the president and what he has said about you, he said about you and Mr. Fruman, Igor Fruman, I don't know those gentlemen. I don't know about them. I don't know what they do. You're saying that was not a true statement from the president?
He lied.
Lev Parnas, a primary player in the impeachment who is also facing indictment and more potential charges, is doubling down.
It was all about Joe Biden, Hunter Biden. It's never about corruption. It was strictly about the Burisma, which included Hunter Biden and Joe Biden.
Parnas suggesting Vice President Pence and Attorney General Barr were also aware of the pressure campaign.
I called back and said, no go. And I remember really going, okay, they'll see. To my awareness, Trump called up and said to make sure Pence doesn't go there.
So you believe that Mr. Pence's trip to the inauguration was canceled because they didn't agree?
Oh, I know 100%.
New evidence handed over by Parnas was made public by the House Intelligence Committee. Text messages, emails, and handwritten notes. On May 3rd of last year, Giuliani messaged Parnas on WhatsApp, quote, "Boy, I'm so powerful I can intimidate the entire Ukrainian government." When asked if he had any comment on the Parnas interview, Giuliani telling ABC News, none. He's a very sad situation.
The latest interview could put pressure on senators to demand new witnesses, possibly even Giuliani himself. Senators will be sworn in as jurors today in the impeachment trial, which is scheduled to begin on Tuesday. Kenneth.
All right, Megan, thank you. So far, the president has not commented on the Parnas interview, but his spokesperson is mocking House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Pelosi handed out the ceremonial pens she used to sign the articles of impeachment. White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham tweeted that Pelosi was so somber as she gave away the pens like prizes served up on silver platters. ABC News will bring you live coverage of today's events on Capitol Hill beginning at noon Eastern with the reading of the articles of impeachment. We turn now to the confrontation between Senators Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders after Tuesday's debate. Warren refused to shake Sanders' hand, and now for the first time we're hearing what they said to each other in that tense moment. This morning, a tense conversation between Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren center stage.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
What? Moments after Tuesday night's Democratic presidential debate, Sanders could be seen extending his hand to Warren, but she refuses to shake it. The two then get into a heated exchange. Viewers couldn't hear it at the time, but now CNN, which hosted the event, has released the audio of that moment.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
What?
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
Let's not do it right now. You want to have that discussion, we'll have that discussion.
Before the heated conversation, Warren tried to de-escalate their feud during the debate.
I am not here to try to fight with Bernie.
The rift between the two progressives started after Warren claimed that during a private conversation back in 2018, Sanders told her a woman can't win the White House in 2020.
Well, as a matter of fact, I didn't say it. How could anybody in a million years not believe that a woman could become president of the United States?
This morning, one source says the two, despite being friends, are angry at each other as their campaigns try to work out how they can defuse the situation. Overnight, neither Warren nor Sanders commented about the newly released audio.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
You may have noticed another candidate, Tom Steyer. He walked right into that confrontation. He appeared to acknowledge the awkward situation online, tweeting, "Just want to say hi, America."
Virginia's governor has declared a state of emergency over threats to armed militia groups planned to storm the Capitol. The emergency order comes ahead of a gun rights rally scheduled for Monday, protesting several gun control bills under consideration by the state legislature. The order also includes a temporary ban on weapons from Capitol grounds from Friday through Tuesday. We're learning new details about the Delta Airlines plane that dumped fuel before making an emergency landing at LAX. Newly released recordings showed that the pilot told air traffic controllers twice that he did not need to release the fuel. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez has the latest.
The FAA now investigating this. A Delta jet preparing to make an emergency landing at LAX, dumping thousands of gallons of fuel, some of it raining down onto elementary school students as they played outside during recess.
Like, the smell was so bad, and I didn't like it.
The FAA saying after declaring an engine issue after taking off for China, the pilots returning to the airport told air traffic controllers twice that they didn't need to dump fuel.
Okay, so you don't need to hold the dump fuel or anything like that?
Negative. We'll be requesting runway 25 right.
But then, without warning, the plane did start releasing fuel from as low as 2,300 feet, far below the recommended 5,000 feet.
At some point, the crew changed their minds. Even after telling ATC they didn't need to dump fuel, they changed their mind for the safety of the passengers and the safety of the airplane. They have that prerogative.
Delta says in a statement the release of fuel was required to reach a safe landing weight. The hazardous liquid misting down on several schools, medics rushing to the scene, treating dozens of people for minor eye and skin injuries. hazmat crews then working through the night so schools could reopen.
Back to normal. Schools clean, students are safe, staff are safe.
Delta tells us they are now looking into the procedures that were followed in the cockpit during that emergency landing. Kenneth and Janae.
All right, our thanks to Marcy there.
Vladimir Putin appears to be laying the groundwork to remain in power even after his current term as Russia's president ends in 4 years. During his State of the Union address, Putin proposed several changes to Russia's constitution. They would weaken his eventual successor and increase the power of high-ranking ministers. After Putin's speech, his entire cabinet, including Russia's current prime minister, announced their resignations at Putin's request.
The TSA says it recovered more guns at airport checkpoints last year than ever before. More than 4,400 firearms found in checked bags or on passengers. That's a 5% increase over 2018. 87% of the guns that were found were loaded. Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta topped the list with the most guns found. It was followed by Dallas and Denver.
And now to alarming new numbers from scientists about climate change. Those numbers appear to put the past decade as the warmest on record. Here's ABC's James Longman.
Those extreme and deadly wildfires continue to ravage Australia, and the alarming numbers. According to a new report, the last decade was the Earth's warmest on record. 2019, the second hottest year ever. Global land temperatures increasing, scientists say. The bushfires part of the dramatic fallout from climate change. And rising over Australia, this phenomenon, the so-called fire clouds, spawning dangerous weather conditions, fueling the flames. And the battle with the elements goes to the ends of the earth. Heat levels in the ocean, the highest ever recorded, melting sea ice at a distressing rate. One study finding the amount of heat being released by climate change equals 5 Hiroshima explosions per second.
We've made it. We've landed on Antarctica.
I saw the devastating reality firsthand, and climate researchers telling me time is of the essence.
I'm hopeful we can fight climate change, both here and at home.
NASA telling us the higher than average temperatures are down to human activities, leading to record amounts of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And if those emissions don't drop, we can expect a much more extreme and unpredictable climate. James Longman, ABC News in London.
Coming up, new details about the planned Game of Thrones spinoff, what you can expect, when you can expect to see House of Dragon.
But first, the latest in the college admissions bribery scandal, the new evidence against Lori Loughlin after this. Back now with growing concern that a volcano in the Philippines will erupt again in the coming hours. About 50,000 people south of Manila have been evacuated. Hundreds of small earthquakes have been reported. Some residents are risking their lives to go back home and save their livestock and pets left behind. We turn to the explosive new lawsuit claiming Jeffrey Epstein was trafficking young girls to his private island as recently as 2 years ago.
Investigators in the Virgin Islands say Epstein had help and used his properties to abuse girls as young as 11 years old.
This morning, disturbing new claims surrounding the late financier Jeffrey Epstein and what he allegedly did on his private island in the Caribbean.
What I heard and the allegations were so serious and really shocking to the conscience of many of us here.
A new lawsuit claims the multimillionaire trafficked young girls to his estate as recently as 2018, and some of the alleged victims appeared to be as young as 11 years old.
Jeffrey Epstein carried out an expansive scheme of human trafficking and sexual abuse of young women and underage girls right here in the Virgin Islands.
The Attorney General in the U.S. Virgin Islands says investigators found Epstein trafficked, raped, sexually assaulted, and held captive dozens of girls and young women while deceptively luring them to his properties with the promises of modeling opportunities. According to the complaint, his island provided the perfect hideaway to traffic girls with the help of accomplices and a special database. The lawsuit also claims Epstein and his associates organized a search party after a 15-year-old tried to escape by swimming away, later holding her captive and taking away her passport.
Could you please give us your name? Jeffrey Epstein.
Epstein was a registered sex offender in the Virgin Islands since 2010 after spending 13 months in jail for soliciting sex from an underage girl, a sentence critics say was too lenient. His death in prison ended the possibility of a sex trafficking trial.
The new lawsuit is seeking hundreds of millions of dollars from Epstein's estate in the Virgin Islands, which the lawsuit values at $86 million.
There's new information this morning in the college admissions scandal. Court documents reveal federal prosecutors have emails proving Lori Loughlin and her husband knew they were committing fraud. Messages allegedly show they rejected a legitimate approach to donating to the University of Southern California. The couple claims $250,000 paid to the accused scheme mastermind, Rick Singer, was a good faith effort to give money to the school.
Outside Pensacola, Florida, a prominent businessman is facing charges of child cruelty and cruelty to animals after his 14-year-old daughter conducted her own video sting.
The girl says she tried to report the abuse for years, but no one will listen. So she set up a hidden camera. We caution you, the images are difficult to watch. Here's ABC's Gio Benitez.
The video you're looking at was recorded on hidden surveillance cameras installed by a brave 14-year-old girl.
To understand what you're talking about.
She told police people did not believe her claims that this man, 47-year-old Damon Becknell, was physically and verbally abusing her. The girl's mother asking us to hide the teen's face. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office in Florida looking at this video from late December. Just watch. The man threatens the dog.
I'm not putting up with you.
The girl begging him to stop.
Stop!
Police say the video also shows the man headbutting the girl.
I know more than you do.
Damon Becknell is facing charges of felony child abuse and animal cruelty. And the girl is now with a state-assigned guardian. Becknell has been released on bond. We've tried reaching out to him, but have not heard back. He'll face a judge next month. Gio Benitez, ABC News, New York.
So disturbing. Thank you, Gio.
There's a new twist in the mystery surrounding a Connecticut mother of 5 missing since May. Prosecutors say she was murdered by her estranged husband. Newly unsealed search warrants claim the babysitter for the Dulos family told police that Fotis Dulos tried to run over his wife, Jennifer. The babysitter also claims she saw Dulos chasing his wife through the house, but Jennifer didn't want to call police because she was afraid he would take their kids to Greece. His attorney is denying the new claims surrounding the case.
The longer Jennifer remains missing, the more rich people's imagination becomes. And it won't surprise me in the near term to see people start speculating that Fotis had something to do with the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa. This is just spinning out of control.
And there are allegations of another plot allegedly involving Dulos and his former lawyer, and the new voicemails coming to light. Go to abcnews.com for more. And federal health officials now say it's okay to eat romaine lettuce grown in California's Salinas Valley. The CDC has issued an advisory in November warning consumers the lettuce might be contaminated with E. coli. A total of 167 people from 27 states were sickened. That includes 85 people who were hospitalized. FDA investigators are still investigating the source of the contamination.
All right, let's get a check of our notifications, starting with the new details about the planned Game of Thrones spinoff. HBO says House of Dragon is likely to premiere sometime in 2022.
They didn't release a more precise date, and no production dates have been set. House of the Dragon is set 300 years before the events of Thrones, telling the story of the House of Targaryen.
Next to a trial by combat, but this isn't a Game of Thrones spinoff. A man wants to settle a legal dispute with his ex-wife with a sword fight.
He claims to a judge in legal filings that there is no law against a duel and combat by sword, and so he is hoping to duke it out. But apparently this is all just a stunt, just to show, in his words, how absurd her lawyer is being. We'll see what happens.
And watch this adorable koala rescued from the wildfires in Australia, playing with a little stuffed bear.
So much fun there. Very cute. Well, we are in the height of dog show season, but increasingly the all-stars of the show aren't the dogs, but their hairstyles.
Believe it or not, competitive dog grooming is really a thing. And ABC's Ashin Singh takes us to Las Vegas inside one of the biggest competitions of its kind.
This is the world of competitive, creative dog grooming, a quirky, colorful, and controversial industry that has groomers and their pups taking the stage and competing like never before. Kat Opson is a legend in the industry with over 20 years of experience.
This is Indiana Jones. I've been on Jimmy Kimmel, the cover of Groomer to Groomer magazine. I've taught creative classes.
And today at Super Zoo, she's going up against the top creative groomers from around the world for that first place spot and a cash prize of $2,500. Alyssa Kasiba and her poodle Ditto are the new kids on the block.
I haven't been able to be in a division with Kat. I love to, push myself and go up against those really amazing women because I know that they're the best.
For these two, it's a passion. But for the rest of the world, a spectacle.
It's the Super Bowl of creative grooming.
even the center of a full doc, well-groomed, streaming on HBO. The public's reactions to these creations are visceral, and it's not without controversy.
We do get some backlash, especially online, that people think that like I'm using my dog for, you know, followers or content.
At home in Elgin, Illinois, Alyssa is a full-time groomer.
First client today is a schnoodle named Helga.
Working out of a mobile grooming van, she says more and more people around town are taking notice of her craft.
Little by little, I've been kind of converting some people to be like, oh yeah, let's see. I mean, it started off with the tail and now we're on to ears.
But her real passion is getting Ditto's coat contest ready. She works on perfecting a single design throughout the year. Ditto's current theme, Beetlejuice.
For someone who's never seen a dog like Ditto before, is creative grooming humane?
Oh yeah. Everything is non-toxic that I use, and they're all vegetable-based. They're all, you know, they're all safe. You could eat it if you wanted.
She's even taken to TikTok to prove the point.
Not all.
Their owners give presentations on their designs.
This is Zealand. She is a 5-year-old standard poodle.
We have Beetlejuice and Lydia during the wedding scene.
Then it's time for the judges to critique.
Hello, darling.
We are judging color definition, the scissoring technique, how smooth the work is, if the work is very recognizable.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
After much discussion,
The first place winner, Sandra Hartness from Yucca Valley, California, and Nevada.
So we didn't place, but I think it was very popular with the crowd.
while Kat didn't place this time,
Third place, Alyssa Kasiba.
it was Alyssa who got to go home with some hardware.
I thought that her Beetlejuice looked great.
We placed third at Super Zoo.
And were you happy with the result?
It's such an honor to, you know, be in the top 3.
You want to come say hi?
Wide-eyed and thrilled after a third place finish, it's still business as usual back in Illinois.
They're so adorable.
And when the pups are not on stage, they're just like any other dog.
What do these guys like to do?
Ditto's favorite thing is to play ball. She loves catch.
Amash and Singh in Elgin, Illinois.
That's our question of the day. What's your favorite dog grooming style? Tell us what you think in the comments or tweet us a photo of your dog at ABC News Live. Coming up, we'll tell you what's to come as the impeachment trial begins today in the Senate.
Plus, here comes Jeopardy James speaking out about his performance in the greatest of all time tournament. After this. Here's what to watch out for today. The impeachment trial of President Trump is set to begin as House managers read the articles of impeachment aloud in the Senate chamber. The Supreme Court Justice John Roberts, who will preside over the trial, will be escorted into the chamber by a bipartisan group of senators to be sworn in. The Chief Justice will then swear in all 100 senators as jurors.
Meanwhile, President Trump is scheduled to announce new guidance on prayer in public schools at 2 o'clock Eastern in the Oval Office. The president teased that announcement at the launch of the Evangelicals for Trump coalition in Miami earlier this month.
And the Senate is also due to vote on legislation to implement the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement to replace NAFTA. The USMCA also needs to be ratified by Mexico and Canada before it can take effect. Finally, from us on this Thursday morning, we're hearing from the Jeopardy champ, who right now is the second greatest of all time.
James Holzhauer talked about his epic 3-way tournament battle with Ken Jennings and Brad Rutter. Jeopardy James came in second in the fight between the 3 highest-earning champions in the show's history. He says he wanted to win, but he wasn't disappointed with his performance.
My goal was to play my best, and I played my best. Ken came up a little bit better than I did. You know, he was absolutely a deserving champion. Let's take absolutely nothing away from him, but, you know, I played up to my standards, and that is all that really mattered to me. I would have loved to win, but, you know. City 4.
Holzhauer also acknowledged his strategy of going all in on daily doubles may change the way future contestants play the game.
He definitely changed the game, and I will spare everyone from singing my Jeopardy James song this morning. All right, that's it for us. Have a good one. See ya.